Welcome to a bonus episode where we are talking about how Disney creates incredible customer experiences. At the end of the podcast, I ask every guest, what's the future of independent retail look like? And majority of my guests, the number one answer is experience. And if you're needing some specific tools and tactics and a formula to focus on to create an incredible experience in your store while being really inspired, then you're going to love this episode. If you get an opportunity to watch this episode, I'd recommend that because this is a bonus. We did a live webinar. I brought on Vance Morris, who's a past exec at Disney World, and he pulled back the curtain on things that Disney did as well as other small businesses on how they're really elevating the experience to create loyalty and deep connection with your customers. And because it was a webinar, he had slides and he shares the formula there. But if you can't watch and you're just listening, you're driving, that's totally okay. You're going to get a lot of value out of this. And I know that because the retailers who attended this webinar sent me messages were like, that was so good. Posted in our Indera feed. Like, what a great webinar. So glad I went to that. So we were like, we got to put this on the pod. It's so helpful. And you're going to love Vance. He's also super funny. He even shared a story at the end where I got emotional. I teared up. I was laughing during this. I mean, it was just an excellent presentation. At the end of this webinar, Vance talks about a co-hosted event that Vance and I are doing. I've talked about it here on the show. It's our 3-day Disney World experience. So if you've been curious about that event too, hang on for the whole webinar at the very end of this episode, and we'll share more about what that experience includes. As I'm filming this intro right now, which is the beginning of July, we only have 5 seats left. But even if we don't have seats open anymore, you got to listen to this podcast because Vance brings a ton of knowledge when it comes to experience. You're going to be very inspired. Trust me, you're going to be inspired. So let's dive in. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis, the Wolf of Main Street, and this is Rooted in Retail. Hello and welcome to today's live webinar, or if you are watching the recording, I'm so excited you are here. I'm Crystal Vilkaitis, the founder of Indera and Rooted in Retail. And today we are talking about something that I am so excited about. We are pulling back the curtain on some of the ways that Disney provides an amazing customer experience. And we know in today's world, with consumers having so many choices, they're bombarded by choices. We really need to stand out as independent retailers and build that loyalty and have amazing customer experience. And so I have Vance Morris with me here today, a former Disney exec, and I'll have him share more about him. He was a guest on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. And if you haven't tuned into that episode, you've got to listen to it. It was one of my favorite. Vance is just a wealth of information as far as providing amazing experiences and marketing. And we're going to just continue that conversation today. So Vance, welcome to the webinar.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks, Crystal. I think I even made you giggle once or twice.
Oh, you made me laugh a lot, actually, on that episode. And you're fun. That's what I like about you, too. You bring some fun and humor into the education. I also want to point out, we're talking about Disney. I know you can't see, but I got my Mickey shirt on. I'm representing. One thing I just want to add is if you know me, I talk a lot about Disney and just the experience that my husband and I have when we go and the magic that is created. And we want to bring some of that magic into our stores. So when I met Vance, I'm like, oh my gosh, Vance, this is exactly what I love. And he's the expert. So we're going to dive right in and I'm going to have you take it away, Vance.
All right. So I appreciate everybody being here today. I will try and keep this light, but there is a lot of information to cover. And we're going to be talking about what I call Disneyfying. I wish I could say I created the word. I like to think I did, but I want to start off a little bit with what can Disney fireworks teach you about customer loyalty? Because one of the big things that Disney is known for is rabid, fanatical fans, people that just are loyal to them to the core. If you went to Disney today, right now, 80% of the people that are at Disney today have been there before. That's an incredible number. And that's why Disney is also so profitable, is that they are not having to spend a lot of money on marketing trying to convince new people to come. They've already got built-in demand from people that have been there before. So let's go back to the fireworks. Every night at Walt Disney World, especially at the Magic Kingdom, the skies erupt in this beautiful choreographed explosion of fireworks and light and music and everything like that. The kids are all like, oh my God, this is great. The grown-ups, even the guys get a little misty-eyed. And and the sea of smartphones are all in the air taking pictures. Now, to most people, it's just fireworks. But to Walt, and Walt Disney created this back in the 50s with Disneyland, this was a strategy. And this is the first thing, if you're writing things down, and it's called the kiss goodnight. It's a final moment of wonder, of excitement, of positivity at the end of the day. It was his way of thanking the guests and leave them feeling really excited, leave feeling on a positive note. If you remember the theory of primacy and recency, where we remember the stuff at the beginning, we remember the stuff at the end, and stuff in the middle sometimes gets a little mishmashy. Well, he knew that if people left on a positive note, the fireworks, that they would remember a perfect, exciting day. They would forget about waiting in lines and the $19 hot dog. He knew that that last impression was going to be long lasting. And so that gets me thinking, what is the good night kiss in your business? And what's this got to do with you? Really, it has everything to do with you. If you're tired of clients ghosting you after the sale, after being in your place just for, once and never come back, or maybe you're frustrated that referrals are trickling in instead of flooding, or maybe you're wondering why your customers still price shop after your quote unquote great service. And trust me, that is the only time you'll ever see me do air quotes. I won't do it again, I promise. It's probably because you're missing your kiss goodnight. So what I'm going to be talking about today is really a 43-minute version of what I talk about over a 3-day event that I do at Walt Disney World. I host these 3 or 4 times a year. And just to prove that lawyers are fun, this is actually a group of attorneys that I took to Disney a couple of years ago. And yes, they did have fun. And yes, I did survive and did not get sued. So this is really condensed version of what I teach over the course of 3 days. So as Crystal mentioned, I used to work for the Mouse. This is me and my former boss. Really, really great guy. Very demanding, but still at the same time, fun. So this is not another webinar, okay? This is kind of going to be a working session. So if you haven't gotten your pen and paper out yet and you're not ready to pay attention, now's the time to start doing that. And I want to be able to really get you guys to go from being mere order takers to experience creators. And what I'm about to tell you works in any business. Okay. So this is a slide showing different companies that I have worked with implementing the strategies that I learned at Disney and use in my own businesses. And I know I didn't mention this earlier, but I also own 3 home service businesses here in Maryland. So I know that the strategies work because I use them in a carpet cleaning company. And I don't show this slide to brag, but just really to show the breadth of variety that these systems, these processes, these ideas work in. So whether you're, in retail like you guys are, or you build rocket ships, or you run masterminds, or you sell chicken, all of these systems are appropriate. Real quick, I want to just cover what kills a business. And this is my only scary slide, I promise you. First is being invisible. If nobody knows about you, your idea, your business is dead on arrival. Being a commodity, I hate to break it to you, we are all commodities. Butcher, baker, candlestick maker. If people are comparing you to the cheap junk on Amazon, you're a commodity. And finally, forgettability. Not even really sure that's a word, but if you've got no retention systems in place, ways to keep your customers in and your competitors out, if you don't have a strong referral system, and when I say systems, I mean, if I came up to you and asked, hey, what is your referral system? You would be able to spell out from A to Z what you're doing for referrals. Not just, oh, well, Aunt Susie sent me this lady last week and et cetera, et cetera. No, that's not it. So we need to overcome being invisible, being viewed as a commodity, and the worst thing is being forgettable. There's nothing worse than having a customer come in, engage in our services, buy our products, and then forget about us, because that is a true business killer. So, who is your competition? Okay. I want you to think about this question and think about who Disney's competition is. Recently, I did an unscientific study. I was at a one of those big box hardware stores. Crystal, I'm sure it's okay if I name them here. We won't tell them. But Lowe's, the blue guys, not the orange guys. The orange guys are pretty cool. The blue guys, not so much. So I'm standing in line. By the way, I'm not handy with tools. I don't do electricity or plumbing or anything, but I did get some stuff for the garden. So I got a new shovel, bag of dirt, and some plants. And I'm standing in line at the cashier. And there's two guys in front of me checking out. And I notice that the cashier is having wordless transactions with the guys in front of me. She's not greeting them. She's not saying hello. She's not saying good morning or did you find everything okay? I mean, have you ever played that game of, where you have to sit in a circle for 60 seconds, completely silent? It starts to get awkward after a while. Well, I mean, imagine, a couple of minutes of her keying all of your products in and her not saying anything. And so the first guy left, second guy, same thing, nothing. Didn't say anything to the guy. I said, well, my personality, I'm like, I'm going to make her say something to me. So it's my turn. I get up there and she's checking out my, zapping on my things with her little scanner, every opportunity to say, hey, good morning or mighty nice bag of dirt you have there. Nothing. And I even gave her the look, the look when you want somebody to say something to you. I mean, I just stared at her with those big old bug eyes and nothing, no reaction. Here's the criminal thing. Her manager was 2 registers away, leaning on a pole with his face buried in his phone and thumbs moving at light speed, texting somebody. Now, in my opinion, the employee needs to be retrained. The manager needs to be fired. Bottom line. Because how can this possibly happen? So I had other places I needed to go that day. And I said, I'm going to do an unscientific study. So I went to 9 different places. Some were national chains, some were mom and pop local establishments. And 6 out of 9 places that I went that day, I had a wordless transaction with the company. 6 out of 9. That is horrible. It would have been 7 out of 9, except I had to order the Happy Meal for my kid. Now, think about that. Now, who is your competitor, right? Who do you think Disney's competitors are? Most people will say SeaWorld, Universal, other vacation destinations. But did you know that a major competitor to Disney is Harley Davidson? But you didn't know that, did you? No. Well, the reason Harley Davidson is a competitor is that Harley Davidson and Disney are both going after the same discretionary dollars of the family. Daddy wants a new hog. Mama wants a Disney vacation. They both cost the same. Who's going to win out? So your competition truly is anyone that the customer compares you with. Now, what if you were the last one on my list and I was going to visit you? You were my stop number 9. You would have been compared to the Happy Meal. You would have been compared to the oil change, and you would have been compared to Lowe's and every other place I went. Is your service, is your experience better than a Big Mac? Let's hope so. So, bottom line, satisfied customers defect all the time. And customers who are merely satisfied are far less likely to drive business growth through referrals, repeat purchases, and reduced price sensitivity. So we want to learn from the leaders. We want to aim for more than just satisfaction. And as a good friend of mine said, nobody raves about average. Just doesn't happen. So, how does Disney do it? I get this question all the time. I travel around the world talking about this stuff, and I always get the question, how does Disney do it? You want the secret? Crystal, do they want the secret? I can't see anything chat wise. I can't even see you anymore. So, do you think they want the secret?
Yes, we want the secret.
Okay, great. I'll tell you the secret. It is, and I will tell you massively, it is pixie dust. Okay, every Disney employee, we go outside and we stand in front of the cast member's Buick, and we snort big lines of pixie dust, and we go about our job. I'm just kidding. We'll get to the real reason in just a second. Let's talk about magic, though, because Disney is all about magic, but there's no such thing, right? Hopefully, you all know that magic is not real. So, how does a multi-billion-dollar a year company make all this money on magic? I mean, you can't amortize it. You're not going to find it on a balance sheet, right? Well, Disney has what is called practical magic all figured out. And that's what I'm going to show you right now. And by the way, I will get to the real reason in just a second. So I've come up with a formula. I suck in math, by the way, and I barely passed algebra. So this is about as mathematical as I will get. So there is a formula for a profitable future, which is PF that you see on your screen. So you've got QEE plus QCE plus QBP equals PF. QEE is the first part that we are going to talk about today, which is a quality employee experience. If your employees are not having a good experience, there is no way in hell that they are going to deliver one to your customers. And Walt knew that right from the get-go. And he even said it. You can dream, create, design, build the most wonderful place on earth, but it takes people to make that dream a reality. In other words, employees. So again, going back to the secret, do you want to know how Disney gets over 75 to 80,000 cast members to perform at their peak every day, 365 days a year? Well, it is through repeatable, replicatable, and practiced systems. See, for us, it's difficult. I get it. How do we get our own employees? Disney gets them, they're fanatical about picking up trash. They swoop down. Sometimes the trash doesn't even hit the ground and Disney's got it picked up. And we have a hard time getting our employees to answer the phone the way we want. And by the way, this is one of the nice benefits of Disney. Twice a year, you can do yoga in front of Cinderella Castle. So there's a lesson for you. If you have employees, what are some free or low cost things that you can do for your employees that don't cost a lot, but really have true meaning for them? I'm not talking about Pizza Friday or anything like that, but I'm talking about something that has true meaning for them that makes them feel good. Now, I don't suggest if you have a parking lot, I don't suggest you do this because Disney cleans this street every night of the week, and it's a very clean street, unless you have somebody cleaning your parking lot. But one of the things that Disney does is they hire employees with a heart for service. And this is something that you have to look for beyond their skills with a cash register, their eye for style, if you're in clothing or something like that. They have to have a heart for service. And let me give you a quick example. So there was a viral Facebook post, I don't know, a number of years ago, and there was a little kid, and the mom said, look, I promise you, if you behave on the trip, that you'll get a new Slinky, the Slinky dog from Toy Story. And so the kid was good. And at the end of the trip, he got his Slinky dog and he was really excited. The next day, they were getting ready to check out of the resort and they were headed to a special breakfast at the resort, one of those character dining destinations. I think Rapunzel was there or somebody. And dad and the kid were sitting on a bench and mama went in to check on the reservations. And mama was waving over, okay, it's time for us to come in. But she had told dad, hey, make sure you watch the kid and watch the dog or Slinky. We don't want to lose either one. So dad gets up, kid gets up, they go in, they have breakfast. course, Dad failed in his one duty, which was watch the Slinky. So he left Slinky on the bench. And it was halfway on the drive home that the kid realized, bah, my Slinky. Of course, the rest of the ride was just, pure hell for the parents because the kid wouldn't stop screaming. So when they get home, Mama calls up Disney's Lost and Found and says, did anybody turn in a Slinky? Now, some of you might be chuckling. Does sound kind of funny on the surface of it. But Disney's employees, which are called cast members, being the professionals they are, immediately said, oh my goodness, tell me what happened. What's the matter? So they didn't laugh at her. Evidently, this happens with some frequency. And so, Mama said, well, look, I told my idiot husband to watch the kid and watch the Slinky. And when it came time for breakfast, he didn't watch the dog. We got home and we didn't have a Slinky and my kid's, a sobbing mess. Without skipping a beat, the cast member said, okay, well, just give me your address. I'll mail you a new one. Now, how many of you would have done that? No proof of purchase, no receipt, no nothing. I know, Crystal, do we have a chat there? Can we have people type in a Y if they would have done that?
Yeah, we do have a chat and there's a slight delay, but go ahead and if you can access the chat, answer that question from Vance. Why would they do that?
Or would you do that?
Yeah.
Would you do that? So,
and I want to add to that too, Vance, like, do your employees feel empowered to do that, right? Would you do that? And with the employees? Yeah.
Exactly. So maybe some of you are raising your hands saying, yeah, I would probably do that. No receipt, no proof of purchase. That's fine. Well, this cast member took it one step further and included a bucket of green army men and a new Woody and wrote a little note that said, it seems like Slinky wasn't ready to come home yet, and we didn't want him to be lonely on the trip, so we included the Woody and the green army men. I'm not going to go into the chat because there's probably not nobody on the call that would have done this. I mean, how many of you would have sent more toys to go along with the new Slinky? Probably not too many, if any. Now, how many of you think the story ends there? Crystal, you think the story ends there?
I have a feeling it doesn't.
Well, it would be a very boring end to my story if the story ended there. So we go to the end, and this cast member decided to take pictures of the characters all around the resort and included the pictures in with the card. Now, let's think about this. What did it cost Disney to do this little package of mailing? I mean, all of the toys were plastic, made in China. I mean, let's just say it was what, like $30 in hard cost, maybe $40. Let's say a little bit of postage, $10 in postage, a little bit of the cast members' time. Let's say we're $50 all in, just for sake of argument. How much did the Disney vacation cost? Let's just say $5,000. Disney just invested $50 to ensure that this family would come back again and again and again, thereby spending their discretionary vacation dollars at Disney by investing a mere $50 to ensure that it happens. And think about all of the free advertising, the viral posts, the millions of views, and all of the goodwill that Disney got for their $50. Absolutely amazing. Now, Crystal is absolutely right. Are your employees empowered to handle a small crisis, a small customer crisis like this? Do you give them some latitude in what they can do to solve a customer problem? And if you don't or can't or won't or haven't, well, this might be something you want to address soon with your team. So now that we have our employees having a good experience, second part of the formula is QCE, a quality client or customer experience. And I use client and customer interchangeably, so I'm not trying to offend anybody by using one word or the other. And this is really, everybody always wants to talk about this because this is sexy. Wow, let's create some wow experiences. And let's go back to the word Disneyfy. And I define that as creating experiences out of the mundane. So we all have boring, mundane things that we have to do day in and day out to keep the business up and running. Disney has just figured out a way to create experiences out of all those things. How to answer the telephone, how to greet somebody, how to take care of customers while they're waiting in line, right? We all have people that wait for things. So how can we wow them? Let's think. I was on a Southwest flight a number of years ago. And Southwest, they can be a little off kilter in their comedy. And if you know, the FAA mandates that, and this is for every airline, that when you're getting ready to land, they say, be careful opening up the overhead bins. Items has a tendency to shift in flight. Every airline has to say it. FAA mandates it. On this particular flight, the flight attendant decided to get in on the action here and said, be careful opening up the overhead bins. Items have a tendency to shift in flight. And as you know, shift happens. Boom, boom. I can see all of you rolling in laughter right now. And then the pilot got in on the action. And as we're going to land, when you hit the runway and they put those reverse thruster things on. So we're going, we hit the runway, reverse thrusters go on. And over the intercom, the pilot goes, whoa, doggy. Now, think about it. Did the pilot or the flight attendant have to do either of those things? No. What did it cost Southwest to do either of those things? Absolutely nothing. So when you're going out to wow your customers, it doesn't mean that you have to build Cinderella Castle in the middle of the store. Just think of little ways, usually free or very low cost, that you can create a wow moment, an experience out of something mundane. I mean, there were 179 other people on that plane that got off and we were all smiling. When was the last time you got off of a flight and you were smiling? At least happy to get off the plane, but I mean, just that you enjoyed yourself on the flight. The next component to this wow is Disney does everything as a performance. So Magic Kingdom, Disneyland, Disney World, they are all set as stages where they do performances. So on stage, those are the guest areas. Off stage, that's where characters get dressed and food's moved around, trash is taken out. Employees are called cast members and things like that. But every job is performed like an actor on stage. So let me give you a real world example, because unless you own a theme park or have a roller coaster, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, geez, why are we comparing to Disney? I don't have anything to do with Disney. Well, let me share this. So in my carpet cleaning business, one of the boring, mundane things we have to do is get in the front door. If I can't get in the front door, we can't do our service. So we've created a performance out of doing that. And it starts like this. We park in the street. We don't park in the driveway because, God forbid, I got an oil leak. Now I got something else I got to clean up. Technician gets out of the van in a clean, crisp uniform because he carries extra uniforms in case he gets dirty on the job before. He gets out and he has a special mat and a little gift that he's going to give to the client. He walks up to the door. He lays down the special mat and he knocks on the door. He doesn't ring the bell because salespeople ring bells. Friends knock. Takes a couple steps back. And when the customer answers the door, Mrs. McGillicuddy's there. He'll say, hi, my name's Josh. I'm here to create your healthy home. May I come in? And Mrs. McGillicuddy will say, yes, please come in. And then we'll do an exaggeration of wiping our feet on the special mat that we laid down. And then we'll put booties on our clean shoes. As we're entering the home, we present Mrs. McGillicuddy with a gift. Now, when was the last time you had a home service person, HVAC or plumber or somebody, give you a gift when they came into your house? I'm going to hazard a guess, probably not too many, if at all. So that is the performance of us getting into the home. At the end of any interaction with my companies, I want people to say, oh my God, you'll never guess what happened when the carpet cleaners were here today. And that's really what you want people saying about you. You'll never guess what happened in the toy store today. We did this and that and this and that. People are going to talk about you. You need to be directing the narrative. What are they going to be saying? You need to be giving them that script. And by saying, oh my God, you'll never guess what happened, gives them that script. Now, another quick example is people always complain, oh, the employee pool, was really shallow. We don't have good employees in our area. We can't find good employees. And I call BS on that. In my town, we have a very small town here. We have 1,700 people in my town. And we have two grocery stores, the red guys and the blue guys. I don't know what's up with the blue guys, but so one's an Acme and one's a Food Lion. Very different service levels. They pull from the same applicant pool. We're all from the same town. Acme has the most pitiful, god awful service. I mean, people, if an employee sees you coming at them, they literally will turn and run away. Or if you're at the deli counter and you ask them about something in the bakery, they'll say, "Sorry, I'm deli. You have to ask a bakery person," even though there's no other employee to be found anywhere else. Contrast that with Food Lion, the blue guys. They're trained. You know how, like, when you're going to check out and you got your cart and you're walking around and you're looking down each line to see which line is shortest, so that you don't get stuck in the long line. Well, their cashiers are trained to stand at the front of the line by the little candy display when they don't have anybody in their line, so that they're like, "Oh, you ready to check out? Come follow me." Acme knows that Food Lion is doing this, but they don't copy them. It would be so easy. So it's the little things that makes the business stand out. Finally, as part of this wow thing, you want to manage what I call the unwow. So if you're looking at the picture here, this is a picture of back pain stuff. Where in the store is the back pain stuff located? It is on the lower shelf. If you have back pain, do you really want to be bending over to get your back pain stuff? I mean, I don't know what idiot designed this planogram, if that's what they call it. But again, just stupidity on the part of somebody to put the back pain stuff on the lower shelf, making people with back pain bend over to get it. Anyway, look through your business. What are some of the things that are detracting from the experience? What are some unwow moments that you might be able to fix just by moving some things around? Another part of the wow, or the client experience, is attention to detail. And I think you would agree that Disney is fanatical about their attention to detail. If you see this post here, Disney paints this post every night of the week. They know at what time to paint this post so that it is fresh for the first guest and dry the next morning, based on weather, temperature, rainfall, humidity, all that stuff. So they paint it at the last possible moment so that it'll be dry for the first guest. That, to me, is fanatical attention to detail. Now, can you measure an ROI on that? Everybody's always like, "Oh, how do I get an ROI on stuff?" No, you're not going to be able to get a measurable ROI exactly on that, but you are investing in your clients, and you're buying what I call sustained enthusiasm. I mean, if you let a bean counter or an accountant get a hold of this, they would just say, paint it every other night. Soon that would be paint it once a week. Soon it wouldn't get painted at all. And the whole place, if they did that, the place would look ramshackle and nobody would come. So what is important in your business? What detail is going to be vital that you are not going to compromise on? And if you knew that increasing your attention on that detail would increase customer loyalty, increase profitability, how much more attention would you be willing to focus on it? Oops. The last part of quality client experience is offering what I call anticipatory service. All right. So it goes like this. Let's say it's a really hot day and you're going into a restaurant and you're parched and you're ready for a glass of water. And the hostess takes you to your table. You sit at the table and you ask for a glass of water and the server says no. I think we would all agree that's bad service, right? Well, let's take the same hot day and we go into the restaurant, we get seated, we ask for a glass of water, and the server brings it. To me, that's average service. We got what we asked for. Nothing exciting there. Anticipatory service would look like this. Same hot day, we walk in, and at the host stand is a server waiting with a tray of both still and sparkling water saying, "Hey, we know it's really hot outside. Would you like a glass of water before we take you to the table?" That is anticipating what your customer is going to ask for before they ask it. Disney is a master at this. A lot of companies are masters at this, anticipating what you're going to need. Ritz-Carlton is a master at doing this. So think about it. What do your customers often ask for? And what can you just offer before they ever ask, thereby impressing them? All right, last part of the formula, quality business practices, okay? QBP. We've got the QEE, we got those employees going, QCE, we got some happy clients now. Now we need to have business systems, business processes, or what I call quality business practices in place. First place we need to start is with your service mission. Now, I'm not talking your mission statement. Most of them are garbage. Okay. Hate to break it to you, but they are. Usually, if I have an audience in front of me, I will ask the audience, hey, do you guys know what your mission statement is? Usually 1 out of 50 will raise their hands meekly. It's usually like a half hand raise. And I'll ask them, okay, well, recite your mission statement. And typically they don't get it right. And it's even their own. So why bother having one if you don't know what it is? And I guess we'll hazard a guess, if you don't know what it is, your employees certainly don't know. Disney, I'm sure, has one, but Disney also has a mission, which is simple. Any minimum wage employee can wrap their little brains around it. Disney's mission is to create happiness. That's it. Create happiness. And they do it by providing the finest entertainment for people of all ages everywhere. That's how they do it. But their mission is to create happiness. So if you remember my performance story of getting into the home for my carpet cleaners, you will have heard my technician mention our mission, which was to create healthy homes. Okay. We do it by cleaning. That's our method, but our mission is to create healthy homes. My employees can wrap their brains around that. So now that we know that mission statements are kind of meh, how about your mission? So it breaks down like this. You declare what you want to do, declare your mission. Disney's again, create happiness. How you do it. How do you accomplish that mission? Disney's is by providing the finest entertainment. And then finally, who do you do it for? Okay. We all have an ideal client profile. I think people call them ICPs. You call them all sorts of different things, avatars and things like that. But you can't be everything to everybody. Who is your target market? Now, Disney's is a little broad because they really are going after everybody because they'd like to get money. And really anybody could go to Disney, unless, of course, you're like Amish. I have never really seen an Amish person at Disney. But anyway, declare your mission. How do you do it? And who do you do it for? And I've talked a little bit about process. Everything at Disney has a process. All right. And it's a step by step. If you want to change a bus tire, they got a process for it. You want to carry a tray in a restaurant, there's a process for it. Now, I would hazard a guess that you would agree nobody comes to Disney for their superior parking experience, right? Nobody does. But if they didn't have one, they would lose a lot of business. And the reason for that is because the parking lot is enormous. We go back to the primacy and recency theory. Okay. You remember what happens at the beginning. You remember what happens at the end, and the stuff in the middle is kind of mishmash. So this is a picture of the Magic Kingdom parking lot. To give you an idea of its size, all of Disneyland from California and its parking lots fit inside this parking lot. The place is enormous. Now, Disney smartly labeled all of the rows, by its characters. So you got the Goofy 16 and Pluto 19 and all of that. But Disney still had a problem of losing cars. We'll get to that in just a second. So what would happen, the reason you want to have a good parking experience, especially at the beginning of the day, is Disney wants people to park quickly so that they can get in and the guests can get in and start spending money. The guests want to have a good parking experience so they can get into the parks and start having fun, right? So if the guest doesn't have a good parking experience, they're going to be cranky. Cranky people don't have fun. And if you're not having fun, what don't you do? You don't buy things. Okay, so it starts at the beginning. Disney knows if the parking experience isn't good, people are not going to buy. So they got to have that good experience there. As I mentioned, Disney had a problem with losing cars. Actually, Disney didn't lose cars. The families just forgot where they parked them. So they would go into the parks and, they'd spend 12, 14 hours in the parks and they'd come out and they'd be all malnourished, dehydrated, sunburned because, they can't afford the $19 hot dog or the bottle of water. And mama would say to dad, "Hey, do you remember where we parked?" And dad would say, "No." Now, you see, mama at the beginning would tell dad, "Hey, write it down." Even the guys driving the trams would tell people, "Please write down the row that you're in." And dad, in his infinite wisdom, would always say, "I'll remember." Well, at the end of the day, you've been in the park 14 hours, your brain kind of turns to mush. So at the end of the day, the family comes out. Mama looks at dad. Dad says, "No, I don't remember." Big fight ensues. So we started calling the parking attendants marriage counselors. Now, you have to remember, this was the 90s, and there were no Ubers back then or anything like that. You got rental cars. And the rental companies at the time were just renting out white Chevy Impalas. That's it. You got a white Chevy Impala. So imagine this parking lot is a sea of white Chevy Impalas. You're not going to be able to find it. So to fix the problem, even though it wasn't really Disney's problem, they didn't create it. Dumb dad did by not writing it down. I always pick on dad because it's just easy. So Disney, an employee came up with this idea, an hourly. So, well, we know what time we park the rows. Why don't we just keep a little log that says, at 8 o'clock, we parked Pluto 16 and 8:05, we parked Pluto 17. And if the guest can at least remember what time they came in, we can at least narrow it down to one row. And so Disney solved the parking problem and saved countless marriages. So let's talk a little bit about going to Disney. We talked a lot about Disney and some of the things that I talk about in the programs that I do at the 3 and 4 day. Crystal has smartly and graciously extended an invitation to everybody to join her and I at Disney World coming up this October. So her and I, my English is kind of stretched right now. Sorry about that. But we're going to Disney, just like the old NFL commercial at the end of the Super Bowl. Where are you going? We're going to Disney. So we're going to spend 3 days at Disney with Crystal. So if you haven't had like really intimate one-to-one time with Crystal and picked her brain on what she knows about marketing and everything about retail, this is a huge opportunity for you. So the event looks like this. We're going to spend half the time in the classroom where we're going to be learning all about the systems that I've used to create these Disney-like experiences in all types of businesses. You'll get playbooks, you're going to get processes, you're going to get examples, all sorts of different stuff. And then once we're done in the classroom, we're going to do what I call walking classrooms. We're going to go out into the theme parks and we're going to see everything that we just talked about in the classroom. We're going to go out and we're going to see it in action. And it's going to be a small group. It's going to be about 25, 30 of us. And so you'll be able to ask questions while we're out there. And this is actually a group of orthodontists on the left and a resort group on the right. So again, doesn't matter what business you're in, this stuff does apply. And you're probably wondering, all right, well, what the heck is in this trip? So let's go through the little laundry list. As I mentioned, you get some guided field experiences throughout the parks. 3 nights at Disney's premier resort, the Grand Floridian, are included, which, by the way, is like $700 a night off season. So not a cheap place to stay, but we got a great rate for it. We're going to get a couple of nice VIP receptions, and we have a VIP viewing of Epcot's nighttime fireworks. And at that one, you can actually bring family members for a really small fee. It's right on the water. It's perfect. And we're going to have a nice big dessert spread. Really, really cool. The program is set up for you to also experience Disney experiences, if that makes sense, so that you can then adapt and extrapolate this stuff into your business when you get home. We're going to have 3-day meeting facilitation with Crystal and I. And at the end of it, the end of the 3 days, the object or the goal is for you to have a blueprint on how you're going to Disneyfy your business when you get home Monday morning. and build your own Disney style service system. As I mentioned, you'll get the resources, the blueprints, and the workbooks. All your meals are included. And by the way, we eat well, so don't worry about calories and carbs and all that stuff. And also, you also get a lot of steps in. So we'll eat well, and then we'll also work it off. Don't worry about that. Your park tickets are included for the days that we're there. And to follow it up, because we're not going to just leave you after 3 days and you got this whole notebook full of notes in this plan, and you're going to be like, oh, geez, what the hell do I do now? Crystal and I are going to support you with 90 days of coaching when you get home so that we get you started on this road smartly and you've got momentum. So I want to leave you with this. And we talked about the fireworks at the beginning of this. A few years ago, I was with one of my groups and I stood on Main Street just as the fireworks were starting. I mean, I've seen them 100 times. I knew the timing. I knew the soundtrack. I knew how all this was go. But sometimes this was a little different. There was this dad next to me, and he put his kid on his shoulders, and the kid's eyes just went, bug-eyed, like big as saucers. And he grabbed his dad's ears, and he leaned down, and he said, Dad, this is the best day ever. Now, I don't know what that dad paid to get there, what he does for a living, but in that moment, none of it mattered because he had delivered something unforgettable, something his kid would talk about for years. And I remember thinking, this is what every business owner is trying to do. Not just make the money, but make some meaning. You see, most businesses never get there. This is really the problem. They get stuck in a loop. Clients come, clients go, they've got cost pressures, price pressures, they never stop. People like their service, but they don't love it. And the owner is constantly asking, what am I missing? You're doing a good job. You might even be doing great work. But if you're honest, you're probably capable of more. You know that your business isn't giving people that best day ever moment, or at least not yet. And that's what's eating at you, not your margins. It's the gap between what you deliver and what you wish your customers felt. So let's try and close that gap. Let's build your business that doesn't just make sales, it makes people feel something. And when people feel something, they buy more, they refer faster, and they stick around forever. And that's what we'll do inside the Making the Magic live experience that we're going to be doing with Crystal. So real quickly, here's the transformation that you can expect, because this is not a fluffy feel-good webinar, okay? It's a deep dive into your business. You're going to learn how to command premium pricing, all right? Learn how Disney charges $79 for a rubber ball that you can get at Walmart for $5. Eliminate price resistance. Okay, this isn't just a theory. We're going to build a system that melts objections away before they even happen. I mean, I like to do that. We're going to give you the process and the system to engineer fanatical customer loyalty. It just eliminates your competition. They won't go to Amazon if they are fanatically loyal to you. We also want to build a business that repels the wrong people. We don't want coupon clippers, okay? We don't want Amazon type shoppers. We want our target market coming in where they don't talk about price. They just come in and say, holy cow, that thing's cool. I got to have it. Price is not an object. And finally, you become the only choice. When you make the client feel something, they stop shopping. That's the Disney strategy. We'll help you build it into your company's DNA. So, Crystal, I am at the point of questions and ready to do those with you however you like.
Amazing. Vance, that was so good. You gave us really great things for us to even just focus on right from this webinar. I really encourage people to take action on what you learned and look from your employee perspective and customer perspective and the processes. This was a really rich webinar. So thank you, Vance. And I got a little teary eyed when you were talking about the kid and the dad, the best day ever. I mean, to provide that is so special. And as business owners, our group here at the Independent Retailers Association, independent retailers, you are a part of your community and you have this opportunity to provide those experiences for your customers too. And that's where Vance and I want to help you go further in a very magical place. If you do have any questions, feel free to chat them in. I know half of our attendees, you don't have access to the chat. It's just our pro members can access the chat in there too. Any questions for Vance on what he talked about today or our experience? And so I just want to add, we have 25 people right now that are coming, and we have 7 spots left. So there's a solid chance we're going to sell out of this experience if you wanted to be a part of it. And this is where, for me in my business over the years, I really invested in showing up. When you get outside of your business, you get a whole new perspective. And every time this is why I was talking about Disney. Every time Dustin and I go to Disney, I solve answers for my business. Like I just get better perspective and ideas. And so we're actually going to work on your business at Disney. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, well, and I, you don't look at it as an expense either. I mean, you look at it as an investment, and as an investment, you expect an ROI. And really, when I listen to, people that are still with me in my coaching programs and that I consult with, really 1 or 2 of the lessons that we'll get while we're at Disney. I mean, you're going to get a lot. I mean, trust me, it's going to be an overflow. And that's the whole point of the third day is, really putting your plan together is you take the first 2 and if implemented that investment into the event, it's essentially wiped out because it just pays for itself.
Yeah, it totally pays for itself. And we have people that are bringing some people. You can add on a trip before, you can add on a trip after if you're already there. So we have 2 options when it comes from ticket prices. I just want to call out that Jenny's saying fantastic focus on the experience at every level. Tammy says, great webinar. She'll be there in October. We can't wait, Tammy. Lori's going to be there in October. She can't wait. We can't wait, Lori. And so I just want to add, so we basically have 2 ways for your tickets. You can buy a solo ticket where it's you in your hotel room and you're not bringing a manager or somebody on your team or a retail bestie. It's just you. And the price for that is $4,997. And that includes the entire experience that Vance just talked about, your meals, your hotel, the 3 months after of coaching. We really take care of you for that. If you want to find a retail bestie or bring your manager or somebody with you who's going to participate, then you save $1,500 because you guys can share that hotel room. And so your price would be $8,497 for the double ticket. And so after this webinar, we will send out links, but you can go to rootedinretail.com/Disney, and we'll put that in the chat for those of you that can access it. And you can learn more about everything that Vance covered. That page really goes in depth of what we're doing there. And then you can get your single ticket or your double ticket. We have 7 left. So this is the time to do it. And let me just scroll. I just want to point out Grecia, who's on our team, said, if you enjoyed today's webinar, don't miss our episode with Vance on the Rooted in Retail podcast. Exactly. And she put that into the chat as well. You can also go to the podcast and type in Vance and listen to that episode we did a few weeks ago, which was definitely a fun one. And I'm not seeing any questions right now, Vance, but of course, if anybody is watching this, you have questions about this experience, you can email us hello@indera.co. That's INDERA.co. And Vance, I can't wait to see you in October. This is going to be, yeah, in 3D. It's going to be so fun.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
The experiences, I know, we've talked some of these things that you've lined up. I'm really excited to go from a business perspective. It's all retailers who are going to be in the room. And so we retailify it. You Disneyfy, I retailify. We get in there to really support you. Dustin, who is also we might have had a couple of people just buy because now we have 5 left. Dustin, who is my husband and also works here at Indera, he will be there as well. And he also has an incredible marketing mind, is really great with AI. So the three of us are really there to support you. So we can't wait.
Yeah, and just to let you know, this is because I mentioned I've taken different groups, orthodontists and attorneys and things like that. So as you know, Disney is retail heavy. So when we do the tours in the two parks, I've redone my tour so that we can focus on the retail strategies that Disney uses. So it's really tailored towards your crowd and not just my general one that if it was butcher baker candlestick maker in the crowd. So this is exclusive for your crowd.
Amazing. So if you're wanting the behind the scenes too, from a merchandising perspective, retail, I can't wait, Vance. I mean, I'm not even a retailer and I can't wait. Richard says, can we make time for Catan? Richard, let's talk. It's a game that we play, Vance. I don't know if you've ever heard of this game, but my husband and I are big fans. Richard owns a game store, does Catan tournaments. He's coming in October. Let's talk. Let's set that up. I think that'd be amazing. We could bring the board. Let's do it. I love it. Okay, extra perk. We've got Catan going as well. Anything else, Vance, as we conclude this webinar here?
No, it's exciting. My biggest piece of advice is bring sunscreen.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm
No,
like, yes, that's important.
yeah, right. It is as much fun as we do have. I designed the program so that you are truly getting experiences that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else. One of the experiences actually you can only get through me. I've worked with one of the chefs at Disney for our opening dinner. And even if you went to Disney, you wouldn't find this dinner anywhere else at Disney. You can't get it. So it's a really special occasion. I don't want to describe it because I don't want to give it away, but it is something you will never forget. And I can pretty much guarantee you've never encountered before. So,
Oh my gosh.
and the thing is to take those experiences though, dissect them and say, okay, how do I adapt this to my business? What can I use from this? And that's really my job for those 3 days, is to take what Disney's doing and adapt it to the retail world. And certainly Crystal will help me with that because my expertise is not in retail, but it's really how do we look at what Disney is doing and adapt it into your world? I mean, unless of course you own a theme park or, roller coaster or something.
Yeah. And if you do, then maybe we could do this at your location next. But I think it's all retailers. So I love that we have this ability, and I can't wait for the experience and to dissect it. Also a big foodie, so I'm excited for this special experience on opening night. Like you said, remember the beginning and the end. I think we're going to be kicking things off in a really memorable way. So Vance, thank you so much for sharing your insight and pulling all this together for our October event. I'm really excited. And everyone who was here today, take action on what you learned. Let us know if you have any questions, and we would love to see you at Disney. So only a couple of tickets left. Be sure to snag those sooner than later so you can be a part of this magical experience. And I hope that you're just having a wonderful summer. If you need anything, we're always happy to help. Vance, I'll see you in October. Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks so much, Crystal.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Rooted in Retail podcast. It means the world to me to have you here. If you find value in this show and you listen on an iPhone, if you could leave a review on the Apple Podcast app, that would be amazing. And if you watch YouTube, if you're a YouTube subscriber, we film this. And so if you rather watch the show, you can also do that over on YouTube. Again, thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.